Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're starting yet another series that I'm gonna be doing on my channel, but these are gonna be like monthly wrap-up videos. I love watching people's like what I read in this month or what I watched this month. I absolutely love those videos, so I thought I would combine those two ideas and do like a general media wrap-up. I'm gonna start with the books that I read. And then I'm going to go on to like the movies, TV shows that I watched this month, and then I'm going to wrap it up with the music I listen to, because those I think are the three big pillars of media I consume. So we are going to start with the books. These are the 5 books that I read in January. I do not believe in shaming people for how much they read, so if you read more than me, cool, great. If you read less than me, whatever, you know what I mean? Cool, great, you're still valid. I always bring a book to work, and that is where I read most of these books. I started off this month thinking, I really want to read some mindless romance books. That's just kind of what I'm in the mood for, right? I should preface this by saying, if you don't already know, I have about 200 to 250 books in my room, like physical books. They're everywhere. And I haven't read most of them. It's like bad. I haven't read a lot of them. Pretty much whenever I'm like, I kind of want to read like this genre, I'm like, oh, I probably have it in my closet. So any book here that I'm reading that comes from my like physical collection, I'm also going to add in a little bit of a, am I keeping it? I'm only keeping it if I think I'll reread it again. So am I keeping it or am I going to donate it? So that is what's going to be at the end of me reviewing all these books. So I picked up this book. I really wanted to read it because it just seemed like kind of a mindless, and I don't ever, when I say mindless, I don't ever mean that in a like negative way. I mean that in a completely positive way. Just books that I can read and enjoy, and I don't have to constantly be like, oh, so like who does magic and what and where are they, and like it's a completely new continent, and like you know, sometimes reading fantasy takes a lot of brain power, and while I love fantasy, sometimes I don't want to use my brain when I read. And that's what these books for me are for. This book I really liked. I loved the main character. Laura was so delusional and I was here for it, okay? I absolutely loved it. She works for this magazine and she like wants to write this article about her parents and their love story, because each of them had a half of a coin, and then, you know, you gotta put them together. So that was like how her parents met, and she always loved that. And her parents had since passed away, but she wanted to go back to the island that they met and write a story about their love and how they fell in love, while also doing like a travel piece, because she's like a travel reporter. So when she's at the airport, she has this like embarrassing like meet cute with this guy where she like spills her bag and there's a bunch of tampons in it, and he's like, oh, let me help you clean it up, and it's like embarrassing, but it's like a meet cute. And then she's like, well, I guess I'll never see him again, even though he was really hot. Spoiler alert, she will see him again. She like gets to her hotel, everything's fine, she's on the island, she realizes that she has the wrong suitcase. And so she's going through this suitcase, and from the contents of this suitcase, she convinces herself that this is the love of her life. And that is the level of delusion that I am here for. As a delusional girly, I felt so represented reading this book. Like, she literally picks up this suitcase, sees that he has like a sweater and like a Phil Collins songbook, and is like, hey, he's actually like meant for me. And I don't want to spoil anything else, but that is basically the premise of this book that you have to know going into it. Is she's a travel writer, she wants to write a column about her parents' love story, she goes to the airport, picks up the wrong suitcase. I am going to go ahead and keep this book because I genuinely do think I will reread this, but I think it's got like 1 or 2 rereads before like I give it away to a friend. This is the kind of book that I'm like, I'll give it to one of my friends who also like likes reading. I don't really have any friends who like reading, but you know, if any of them ever want to try out a romance book, I'll probably give them this one because it is really funny. I really liked it. And then I kind of assumed like, let's keep these good romance vibes going. So then I picked up this book from my closet, and the premise of this book, I don't want to like add spoilers in this, but I do want to, you know, kind of summarize what the book is about, and it's not going to be anything that you can't learn from reading on the back of the cover. This is about a girl named Kelly, and she is just, like, not lucky in the love department, and she has a lot of trouble talking to people. I feel that. I feel so represented by these books this month, I guess. Delusional and has trouble communicating. And she's just, like, not really lucky in that department. And she's, you know, she's fine with it. She's content being single, but she has, like, a very invasive family. Specifically her mom, who is constantly trying to set her up with people. And it just never really goes well. So when her sister announces that she's getting married, she's like, man, I need to have a date to this wedding. And so she, by the way, robotics engineer, you might be able to see where this is going, she creates herself a man. And honestly, love it. Love it. Yeah, sure, of course, build yourself a man. Like, of course if you have the ability to build a convincing human, of course build yourself a boyfriend, you know? This was a book where it was like, it wasn't completely mindless, because sometimes there were these scientific terms that I was like, hey girl, and so I had to, like, look them up, but then it was fine, and I learned some things about robotics from this book. I also really enjoyed this book. I forgot to do my rating for the last book. I think that I would give this book, like, I don't like rating my books out of 5 stars, because 5 feels so, like, weird. So I'm gonna rate it out of 10 instead, which I guess you can just convert to 5, but I feel better rating it out of 10. I would give this book a 7 out of 10. I would give this book an 8. Which I am gonna keep this and I am gonna reread it. It is gonna be the situation of, like, 1 or 2 more rereads, and, you know, I'll donate it. Next, you might be confused about these. So next, I decided I would go back to my roots, pick up a YA fantasy series, and I've been wanting to read this Imperium trilogy. You might be wondering why there's 2 books instead of 3. We'll get into it. I picked up Furyborn. I finished it really, really fast. And then I immediately went on to this book, finished it so fast, I was so into the world, I loved it. And then I picked up the 3rd book in the series, which I do have. And I just couldn't get through it. I don't know, I don't think this is any fault of the writing or anything. I just, like I wasn't able to read as much as I wanted, so I found myself constantly having to be like, wait, what? Like, who is this about? Like, what's going on? And so I would have to, like, go back, or sometimes I'd have to, like, open up, like, the 2nd book and be like, so who's this character? What's going on? The 3rd book introduces a lot more POVs, whereas these first 2 are, like, 2, sometimes 3, but the majority of these 2 books are from these same 2 perspectives, and this 3rd book kind of opens up with more characters who there's, like, 2 main storylines going on. For the most part, there's 1 character for each storyline, and then when it got to this, it was, like, 3 characters per storyline, but then also sometimes 1, and, like, we wouldn't, like, sometimes I got confused on which storyline was which. So that's why I am going to pick up that 3rd book again. However, I don't think it can be right now, because it's just so confusing. I think I'm going to have to go back and reread these 2 books, so we'll wait a couple more months for that. This series, essentially, there is this prophecy that there are going to be 2 queens in this world, a blood queen to ruin it and a sun queen to save it. Like I said, multiple POVs. The 2 storylines are about 1,000 years apart. However, the 2 characters are mother and daughter. So you might be like, hey, how does that work? Don't worry, it gets explained. These 2 queens, I kind of knew which queen was which going into it, even though it is set up as, like, it's supposed to be, like, a twist, that, like, it's not the queen you think it is. It maybe not, like, exactly a twist, but you start to, like, slowly see her change, and you're like, oh. With my big girl brain, no, I'm just kidding. I kind of assumed that the older character would have to be the blood queen, which, okay, spoilers, yeah, okay, she is. But, I kind of assumed that the older queen would have to be the blood queen because the world has to be saved before it can be, or the world has to be ruined before it can be saved. That was kind of my thinking. And I'm right. So, I would give these 2 books, I would give 8.5 or a 9. I think I would give this a 9, I would give this an 8.5. because I really enjoy trials in books, and that's like a big part of this book is a trial for one of the queens. That being said, I am going to be keeping these because I'm going to be rereading these two and trying the third book again when I can kind of like devote more time to reading and my life is a little less hectic. I'm going to keep these for that reason. I have read this book so many times. It's actually a tradition that I reread this book every January. I read it for the first time January 2021, and ever since then I've been reading it every January. So for 3 years now, this book has been like my, go-to at the beginning of the year. I love this book. I know exactly what happens. I don't get surprised. It's like one of my comfort reads. So this book follows, I don't even have to look at the back for this, y'all. This book follows Olive Torres, who is a twin. Her older sister at the very beginning of the book gets married, and she is like the maid of honor, and her sister is like, she wins all these sweepstakes and she's getting married, and Olive's kind of helping her out. And then, of course, you guys, her sister's fiance's brother, they like hate each other. 'Cause of course they do, y'all. And I just have to tell you that two characters hate each other and y'all know exactly where this book is going. Maybe not exactly, but you can get an idea of where this book is going. They hate each other. Okay, yeah, of course the maid of honor and the best man hate each other, guys. It's a romance book. Anyways, so at this wedding, her sister's husband now, and everybody in the wedding besides her and the best man get food poisoning. Why? Because her sister won a seafood buffet and Olive is allergic to seafood and the best man, Ethan, hates buffets. So they are the only two that didn't eat the food. So they're the only two that aren't sick. Then, of course, her sister's like, hey, we're identical twins. You should take my honeymoon for me. And Olive's like, hey girl, I'm not gonna do that. You are vomiting your guts up. Like, I'm not gonna do that. And she goes, no, like, you definitely should. She, thinks about it, and then Ethan comes over and he's like, hey, I need the information for the honeymoon, because I'm going. And Olive's like, she just offered the trip to me. And so you can see where this is going. They take the honeymoon together, and I'm not gonna tell you how it ends. Anyways, love this book. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, simply for the comfort factor. And those were all of the books that I read in January. So now we're moving on to movies and TV. So as I have previously stated, my mom and I have the subscription for a certain movie theater chain where you can see up to 3 movies a week for $25 a month. So needless to say, we go see a lot of movies. However, this month, we didn't see as many as we normally do. We saw 3 movies. However, 2 out of 3 of those movies we saw more than once. So there's where we make up for it. I'm using the app on my phone so that I can tell, when we went to go see it and all that. But the first movie we saw this month was Poor Things. And I am giving this movie a 9.5 out of 10. Because I absolutely adored this movie. The, design, I loved it so much. And the concept of the movie is, cuckoo bananas. And all I need to tell you is that Willem Dafoe is in it. So, of course, it's a weird, strange movie. But I really, really liked it. So, this movie is about a surgeon, this world-renowned surgeon, he keeps to himself pretty much, but he has this weird kooky mansion, and he has this stellar student, and he tells his student, I have a project I need your help with, and the student's of course yeah, of course. So he's like, okay, come to my house, and I'll kind of tell you what I need you to do. So, he comes to the house. He sees that this surgeon has a daughter. There is this woman. There is this young woman in the house. And she seems to be acting like a toddler. And he says, hey, what's going on here? So the doctor tells him, you know, this is Bella. She had this awful accident and her brain, like, regressed. So I need you to stay with her, monitor her progress, and take notes, and then bring them to me. So his job is basically to just hang out with Bella all the time, take notes, see what happens. And so that's exactly what he does. It gets weird. You learn what actually happened to Bella. She travels the world. There's just a lot that happens in this movie. It is genuinely, I think I would say that it is the best movie I've seen this month. It was really, really good. And we wanted to go see it more and more, but we didn't get the chance to because it had like a limited run. But then they extended the run, but the run is not extended at a theater in our town. Of course. Because of course. So we can't go see it anymore, but we want to. I highly recommend that movie to anybody who likes strange movies. Also, the design and the, like, aesthetic, but mostly, like, the costume design, the set design, like, it was insane and it was so cool. I have this notes app on my phone of places that I would pay, like, an exorbitant amount of real-world money to visit. And up until I saw this movie, there was one place on it, and it was the village from Brandy's Cinderella. I would pay so much money to go there. But now, I have two. Well, I have multiple, but all of the other locations are locations from this movie. I, like, it, every time they went somewhere else, it baffled me how beautiful it was. Everything was so, like, whimsical, and that's the only way I can explain the style of this movie. And it's whimsical, but it's also, like, super psychological and messed up. When you get down to the base of it, it is very messed up. I think that, like, Emma Stone herself puts it beautifully, and it's like, this movie is a love story, but it's not the love story of Bella and the little student. It's the love story of Bella falling in love with life. And I was like, she said that, and I was like, that's so true, because, like, she goes through so many awful things, but, like, she loves life still. And it was, like, I don't know, I really, really liked it. It has definitely become one of my favorite movies. Can't wait for it to, I've literally seen it once, and it's already, I know, one of my favorite movies. And I can't wait for it to go on streaming. I'm gonna buy a DVD copy of it. I love this movie. Moving on, we saw Anyone But You. My mom and I saw this movie 4 times. And you might be thinking, that's a pretty good sign, it must have been really good. I cannot explain to you. I don't know what type of Stockholm Syndrome relationship I have with this movie. I don't know, okay? I have no idea. And this movie, my relationship with this movie baffles me so much. I am making an entire separate video about it. Because I have this weird relationship with this movie, okay? I, like, don't understand what it is. I'm giving this movie, like, I don't know, I can't rank this movie. Because if you ask me to legitimately rank it on the basis of how good of a movie I think it is, I'm giving it a 4 or 5. But if you ask me how much I think about this movie, why do I think about this movie so much? And, like, it's like, I don't get it. I don't get my relationship with this movie. So as of right now, as of this video, I'm going to rank it for how good of a movie I think it is, and I am giving it a 5 out of 10. So that's where it is. However, I am going to go into serious detail on my relationship with this movie, and you will see that video sometime this month or maybe next month, because I have so many videos stockpiled up. But it is insane. So be on the lookout for that one. The third movie we went to go see was Mean Girls. And I do have a video on that movie. I liked it. everyone else seemed to not like it so much. Yeah, I definitely thought that it, like, maybe was a little bit too, like, here's Mean Girls for Gen Z. Maybe, like, a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 7, but I want to give it an 8 or 9 because that movie is just so unserious and fun that I think it bumps it up to at least an 8.5. Like, I just enjoyed that movie. I have watched that movie so many times simply just for comfort. Like, just for comfort reasons. It's just, like, fun. It is fun, okay? It's fun. Sue me. It's fun. I didn't watch any TV shows this month. I don't really know why, because in December I was on such a big Game of Thrones kick. But for some reason, I just, like, I didn't watch a single episode of any TV show. I take it back now that I think about it. The only show I watched this month was Traitors Season 2 with my mom. Because that is a great reality TV show. I don't know why we didn't have it sooner. I love Alan Cumming. I love this show. We're moving on to music. I love this topic. My top artists of January, I have 4, was Chappell Roan, Renee Rapp, Mega Mango, and Hozier. And if that tells you anything about me, I listened to Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess so many times. Like, genuinely, it was on repeat, the entire album. So, the beginning of January, I listened to the entire album for the first time, which is crazy because I've been such a big fan of Chappell for so long, but I had never sat down and listened to the entire album. I had listened to most of the tracks. I've always been meaning to sit down and listen to the whole album, but I never have. Until now. And I've listened to the whole thing, and I've gone on to play it on repeat over and over and over and over again. My favorite track off the album is After Midnight. Why doesn't that song have more love? After Midnight is my favorite Chappell Roan song. Similarly, I hadn't listened to Snow Angel by Renee Rapp in its entirety at all before this month. And she's at number 2 because I've also been obsessed with it, but I'm not as obsessed as Chappell Roan. Next I have Mega Mango. Mega Mango has been one of my top bands for like a year now, like a year or a year and a half. I love them so much. They deserve so much more love. Like, the front person, I love their vocals. I don't know. I just really love this band. So I'm not really surprised that they're in my top. December was the month of Hozier for me. So this is just like leftover because I still love Hozier. And Unreal Unearth is one of my top albums. So I still listen to it. The reason that this is so high is because I got back into playing The Sims 4. And I love building and decorating on The Sims 4. So, my playlist for building is entirety of Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, entirety of Unreal Unearth, entirety of Jaguar 2 by Victoria Monet. Why is she so low on this list? She's at number 10. Victoria Monet should be much higher. And entirety of Snow Angel Deluxe. And that is, I play that on repeat while I build. So, it's probably why it's so high. Yeah, no wonder at all. My top album of this month was Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess. Second was Snow Angel. 6 was Floored by Sugar Ray, and I don't want to hear anything about it, okay? I don't want to talk about it. I'll give you my top 10 tracks of this month, according to what I listened to. My Kink is Karma, Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl, Deadweight by Ella Jane, I Think I Like Your Girlfriend by Nia Nadarada. I love that song. I love that song so much. Talk Too Much by Renee Rapp, Poison Poison by Renee Rapp, She Said by Katie Tupper, which is one of my favorite all-time songs. I love that song so much. Tummy Hurts by Renee Rapp, After Midnight, my personal favorite song. Don't know why it's not higher. And Ha 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 by Stevie Bill. Love that song. BT Dubs, love that song, obviously. So yeah, good month for music for me. Good month. Music is always like my favorite thing to talk about, obviously, because I write music, so I love music. So that was my media wrap up for January. I hope you enjoyed. I'm so excited that I get to continue doing this for future months. If you have anything you want me to add to these videos, like, let me know. I mean, like, whatever. I'll do a wrap up for whatever. Be sure to stick around if you like my stuff. And I will see you next week. Bye, guys!